the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the Internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania, the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including sports betting, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, darknets, and of course, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. Joining me today, our fellow degenerates, Jeff Krantz and Jack Jones. We're going to be talking about the Paul Mayweather fight and the betting therein. Hashtag naked shorting is trending on Twitter. Warning signs coming for the BTC world. But first, let's talk about what everyone's talking about, this big BTC conference. This was pretty exciting. Ahead of this conference, we had a lot of crypto FUD. Bitcoin have been going sideways. You might think going into this thing, people might have some downcast attitudes about crypto, but from the outside looking in, it looked somewhere between a rally and a religious gathering. So, I didn't see a lot of the doom and gloom that you might expect as prices drop over 40-50% over the last couple weeks. So now, Jeff, you are the resident Market Mania Bitcoin conference person, and we had to send you there to see what was going on. So you had firsthand experience of the craziness. Why don't you give us a little bit of breakdown on what you saw, maybe some thoughts of some of the faces there? What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an awesome time in Miami. We all bought tickets for the Bitcoin conference itself, but I think everyone was there kind of as a crypto community to finally get back together after, a year-long pandemic lockdown, and kind of come back out of our shells and network again. So as far as the conference itself went, it was great. But a lot of the speeches themselves, I would say, were what you'd expect from a bunch of Bitcoin maxis. Mayweather got booed for mentioning that other cryptocurrencies exist. One guy said something along the lines of, if you're not a toxic Bitcoin maxi, then get out of the room, to much applause. And the whole, at some point I got sick of buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. So I stepped away from the speeches themselves. But the network was incredible. I met a lot of people that I've been interacting with over the internet only. I've never met them face to face. So that was awesome. And then one major takeaway was how excited the people of Miami were about Bitcoin. Like, every Uber driver, every taxi driver, every waitress, busboy, when they saw that I had the Bitcoin bracelet on, they were excited to talk to me about what am I buying, what their portfolio looked like, and what they should be buying next.
And I'm sure
it was
you
a
said
lot of
Safe Moon and cum rockets, right?
Well, that's what they were asking about. They were asking about Doge and Sheeb and quote unquote shit coins. So the question that I kind of leave to you guys is, this reminds me a little bit of when they talk about the .com boom, when your taxi driver and your bus driver was giving you stock tips. Is that where we're at right now, or are we at the beginning of mass adoption? What do you think, Jack?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, like Mayweather, I don't think he just casually mentioned another cryptocurrency. He said there's probably going to be another cryptocurrency that's bigger than Bitcoin, and then he got booed.
That's true. Fair.
Yeah. What of the shit coins? He didn't give the taxi drivers and the bus boys any advice on which one it would be, perhaps out of fear of the crowd. I don't know. I mean, to me, 2017, it felt like everyone and their cousin, quite literally, was trying to buy Bitcoin. It was Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Occasionally, people would mention Ethereum or altcoins. Things popped. We fell 85%, 99% for altcoins and stayed there. This time around, no one's talking about Bitcoin, so I kind of like that. It's like these altcoins are running cover for Bitcoin. Maybe there'll be an altcoin crash, but I don't know. Bitcoin lost 65% in the month of May. That feels like a pretty big washout to me. The conference, I loved it. First time in Miami, first time at a Bitcoin conference. Hats off to the organizers because they tried to be so many different things at once. It tried to be the first mask off, no social distancing, mass gathering, networking event for just society. It tried to be hey, Bitcoin OGs, come see your friends and get some beers. It tried to be, hey, new rich crypto alt traders, come to Miami and blow a lot of cash in crypto partying really, really hard. And then like, hey, nerds, come listen to these talks about developers and Lightning Network. So it tried to be all things for all people, which is usually impossible. And there were some hiccups, but I enjoyed it. I spent most of the time at the main stage listening to the nerds give their talks.
Well,
That was my Miami experience.
Sounded like it did succeed spectacularly on all fronts, at least to some degree. Although the weather was pretty bad. Roger Bickle's saying, looks like there was heavy snow in Miami this weekend, which I can imagine that must have complicated travel plans. Now, it looked like a lot of fun, but I gotta say, some of the things coming out of that conference gave me pause. I'm not the only one. Our resident Safe Moon and Dogecoin developer, Matt Glantz, had this to say. And I think it's very sage and wise. No matter what the cult, the denial and the faith are always strongest near the end. Now, he's talking about what he posted here was Max Kaiser coming out. It looks like Max took all the snow himself. This was the energy, this was the tone and the feel at points. And you see for yourself.
Yeah! We're not selling! We're not selling! Fuck Elon! Fuck Elon!
Yeah, that was bad. That was so cringe-inducing. Luckily, I was not in the room for that one. That would have given me tremendous anxiety. That was probably the worst moment of the main stage events.
That just gives me flashes of BitConnect. That gives me... I mean, I love Max Kaiser. I don't always agree with him. He's quite a character, but this isn't a good look, I don't think. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Bitcoin priests out there. I've had people telling me to just quit talking about it, but I at least try and not get to this level. I mean, what do you think, Jeff? Is this good or bad?
Yeah, so I heard that he wants to crown himself Pope and make Bitcoin a religion so we can get tax favorable status here in the United States, which isn't a bad idea.
Well,
and that seems like where it's going.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. We also had incidences like this
to make that happen as well. So we're really excited about the progress of LDK.
Everybody, we have a very urgent announcement.
All right, I don't know what to...
Is that Jack?
So yesterday I shared the elevator with this kid. He was staying in the oh, this is great. He gets trucked off the stage. This kid, him and his like ragtag bunch of like super hungover, probably part of the snowstorm, college dropout, shitcoin trader friends were in the elevator with my wife and I as we were leaving our Airbnb condo, and he just aped right into being like, I was the Dogecoin guy. Did you see me? And I did think he did a good job of disrupting the show. He got all his words in. He didn't get over adrenalized and trip over his own words. But yeah, I asked him, like, did you get arrested? Did they give you a talking to? Did they kick you out? And he just told some lame joke. He's like, they made me take out my phone and liquidate all my Dogecoin and buy Bitcoin. I was like, okay, you're not a very interesting person. But that's who it was. It was some shitcoin trader. It was probably 10 or 50x in the last 6 months. So good on him. But I'm glad I got to meet the guy. Got to know the man behind the meme.
All of these freakouts remind me of previous conference events. That reminds me of the Libertarian event 4 years ago or whatever, 5 years ago. Past doesn't matter anymore. But I remember a guy getting up, running around in his underwear. And I don't know, at the time the Libertarians were saying, oh, this has got to be a CIA plant just trying to discredit us. But I don't know. I think that the Libertarian Party and the Bitcoin community will attract this type. So I think he was pretty legit out there. I mean, that was my impression. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, he was legitimately probably coked out. I initially thought he lost a bet or was trying to, I mean, if it was a super micro cap shitcoin, I could see him just like loading up the bags on some super random like 10 million micro cap coin. But since he promoted like I don't even know what Doge is at now, a 50 billion plus market cap coin, he knows he's not going to move the market. I think he was just really high, really drunk, and wanted to do something adrenalizing. And he's like 19 years old, so he hopped on stage and screamed at everybody.
Well, that's pretty fun. Doge not moving too much on his excitement, but some other things that are moving quite a bit is the meme stocks. We've been talking about those quite a bit the last few weeks. Now, there was trending on Twitter today, hashtag naked shorting. So that's pretty exciting. When you go to that thread, you start to see people warning about these meme stocks, higher level people starting to really take notice. IB founders saying, don't short AMC. They could soar to unimaginable highs. What he's worried about, and what they've been trying to trigger this whole time, is that short squeeze. The idea is not to maintain a certain price, but just to hold those stocks and force the shorts to purchase. So it looks like it's getting real close. The percolation around this idea is coming to a head. It feels like anyway. So Jeff, have you followed this much, or what are you thinking here? Are they about to trigger the squeeze finally?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to think about what happens if AMC runs to 100, 200, 300. I don't know what the natural peak could be, but it's wild to think of what the repercussions could be for the financial system as a whole if you really start putting the squeeze on these big hedge funds that are short. And I hope that no one I know is thinking about going on a naked short on AMC because they think it's got to come back down, because I don't think it does have to. I mean, eventually it will normalize, but we don't know where it's going to go between now and then. How about you, Jack? What do you think?
This feels like when 500 years from now, and I read the history books and they talk about at the beginning of the 21st century, things like cum rocket and closed down movie theaters and used video game rental stores started to 50 and 100x. That was the start of a paradigm shift of hyperinflation of fiat currencies and mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Probably what's going to happen. That's my 500-year out prediction. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could also be the telltale signs of like, oh, and in 1928 and 29, everyone was just aping into buying stocks on margin, and it was really fun for like 6 months, and then the market crashed for a long time. I don't know. I mean, what I thought the bubble burst like in January, February when we had the first big run. AMC was like a $4 stock. Now it's like 50 or 60. Like, what price do they need to hit, or how long do they need to stay above a certain price level to trigger a short squeeze? I would think flooding 50 to $60 billion into the AMC stock, that should have been enough to trigger whatever apocalyptic event thereafter, whoever they may be.
Well, I think the plan is working, and maybe a little too well. We're starting to see headlines like this. Let me pull this up here. This just was announced from TD Ameritrade. A little disappointing to see. They're making it a little harder to trade these meme stocks. They obviously are looking out for, well, I guess we would say they're looking out for their rich friends. I would say they're just trying to maintain a market. Jack, I need you to settle down over there, buddy.
It's an exciting topic.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like when financial liberty gets slightly constrained on like 2 or 3 stocks. It really upsets me.
Yeah, it's kind of BS. So it's obvious that even if you're trying to make money with these meme stocks, there are forces outside of just market forces against you. Now, I really liked. I'll show you maybe the last 20 seconds of this rant. I thought they really nailed it here. Let's check this out.
The general public is making money after decades of the shorts crushing thousands of stocks into the dirt. I have watched stocks being crushed completely to zero, and no one ever whispered anything because those stocks didn't have Wall Street sponsorship. They were small names. Maybe they went public through a reverse takeover. Whatever it was, the shorts have had their way with the market for decades. No one's ever complained about it. So I am thrilled. If you were going to try to destroy a company by shorting 140% of the stock, you have to accept the fact that individual investors are playing the same game that you're playing, and now you're losing.
I mean, that's it. So I couldn't agree more with that. I think that's some righteous anger, and I would like to see this play out the way we all hoped. I guess I thought when we went into this that it would all end in heartache, but I don't know. It seems like this thing's got more legs than even I thought. The only other thing I could imagine is that the push driving these prices up further doesn't seem like could be coming from retail anymore. Do they still have the gas to be driving prices like this? I don't know. Seems like there's some bigger players making moves. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, that's scary to think about. What is the vulnerability of the U.S. financial system from potentially some sort of outside actor pumping this up or manipulating our population base to drive this thing up. Last time when Robinhood shut down, what was it, buying of GME, that was a scary moment for me because I realized, hey, maybe this actually has exposed some fragility in the U.S. financial markets. What if the clearinghouses can't collect, and the whole system kind of crashes because they can't collect from the losers, the shorts, or at least it puts a big strain on the financial system. So to me, it's kind of scary, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, I do think crashing is part of the point, and if you wanted to take part in that, here's some of the other stocks. This is the Wall Street Bets ticker mentions through June 5th and 6th. BlackBerry pretty much stays at the top. So even though we talk a lot about AMC and GME, you might want to be looking out for BlackBerry, Workhorse, Tilray, Microvision. I mean, some of these could have similar stories in the very near future. So just wanted to run this by you quick before we move on to the Paul Mayweather fight and some of the betting therein. I mean, this was quite a story. Watching Logan Paul get ready for this, most people, I'm sure, didn't think he had a chance. Of course, the betting markets believe that as well. He was the underdog going in and remains so. Most people didn't even believe he'd go all 8 rounds. So were you guys able to follow the betting, or any of the excitement leading into it? Jeff, what was your impression?
Yeah, I think this was a huge deal. This was last night in Miami, kind of maybe the capstone event for a lot of people before leaving town. Logan Paul, giant YouTuber. I think a lot of people might call him the biggest, if not one of the biggest influencers, fighting Mayweather, which some would call the greatest fighter boxer of all time. Important to note that this was an exhibition event, which basically meant that no winner or loser would officially be declared at the end of the fight. And that had an effect on the betting markets. But nonetheless, I was extremely interested to see that Mayweather was only a $6 favorite, so minus 600 over Logan Paul, who'd only fought one other fight and lost that fight. So I guess that just goes to show how much money was going on Logan Paul, maybe just as being a YouTuber. My stance on the whole thing was they were both there to make a bunch of money and get a bunch of attention, and their goal was not to get hurt. So what I was kind of thinking was, everyone was saying Mayweather's going to knock him out in the first round, but I kind of pictured it just being kind of a long, drawn out fight. I took over 5.5 rounds, which in hindsight turned out to be the right bet. But some people are saying today that after watching the fight and watching Mayweather's post-conference, that he seemed disappointed and he might have actually been going for the knockout and not been able to get it over Logan Paul. And he'd kind of blamed his age and some other things. But all in all, I actually thought it was a very entertaining at least start to the fight, entertaining night, $50 well spent. Yeah, what do you think about it, Jack?
So there was no winner declared because it went the full 8 rounds?
Exactly.
So if you took Paul plus or whatever, plus 600, it was a push, you got your money back?
Great question. Yeah. So I bet Mayweather minus 600 as well as over 5.5 rounds. My Mayweather bet pushed, and then I won on the over 5.5 rounds. Great question.
Well, that is even more disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always had, I don't know if I'm too young or if I just never got caught up in it, but I never was a big boxing guy. I watched McGregor Mayweather with a bunch of people. That was exciting because of all the betting hype leading up to it. But what I learned there 3 years ago was everyone knows that Mayweather's shtick is that he's a tactical boxer. It's just going to try to score points. So I just assumed that this novelty fight was going to be the same thing. I was also not surprised to see all the memes last night equating kind of weird memes equating last night's fight to like some really mild domestic violence, which was kind of the prevailing joke online. Mayweather, whenever he spoke at the Bitcoin thing, he said like, hey, I'm in the entertainment business now. I'm not in the fighting. I retired from the sport of boxing. I'm now just here to entertain. So there wasn't even any pretense or like trying to act like it was a fight. Yeah, maybe his ego recognized that it would have been more entertaining to knock Mr. Paul out, and he's sad he couldn't do that. But yeah, he is getting up there in age. And I guess the last thing I can say is, of all the things I said at the top of the show, that Bitcoin conference tried to be a get together for OGs, a party fest for the new rich, it also tried to be like a boxing promotion event, because they gave Floyd Mayweather his own interview where he basically bragged about getting in on Bitcoin early and like making a lot of money, and then said there's probably going to be a crypto better than Bitcoin. And then they had Jake Paul, Logan Paul's brother, on the last panel with America's Funniest Comedian Tim Dillon, and Tim Dillon, God bless him, the host of the panel, tried to find some natural transition. He's like, all right, Jake Paul, you're here to talk about boxing. Here's how that's related to Bitcoin. But there's no connection. It was literally just, hey, we're in Miami. This weekend's a fight. The money team and the Paul team will probably pay us or get us more likes. That's probably what it was. More likes, retweets, impressions. If we promote their shit, they'll promote our shit. That was also weird. That felt like square peg, round hole. But whatever. Overall, it took like 15 minutes of the entire weekend's time. So it wasn't like this big cloud cast over the event.
One last thing I forgot to mention was the payouts. Mayweather, I saw, got something like $120 million to show up to this fight. And Logan Paul, I think, walked away with something like $20 million. So, like I said, at the end of the day, the goal was to cash these checks and not get knocked out for either of them.
Win-win. Well, such an interesting confluence of all things: fight betting, Bitcoin, strange memes, YouTube stars. I'm learning to love the future. I'm at least learning to laugh until we're not. However, looking ahead to the future, you're going to want to be rich, and that is why we bring you the not investment advice. Do your own research, please, for the love of God. Market Mania, pick of the day. All right, we've got some good ones today. Jeff, I'm going to start with you, buddy. What do you got for us?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to give you guys a pick that I picked up at one of the nightclubs in Miami over the weekend. It's called Coin, is the name of the coin, and the project is CoinOS.
Sounds like an STD.
Well, maybe it's got viral potential then.
There you go.
So what I like about this is a lot of people were shilling their coins over the weekend, but I'm really not looking for anything that can't 100x. I like kind of that asymmetric risk profile. This has a market cap of something like $4 million, and it's founded by a team that's done some other successful blockchain projects. So I thought it was a good one to look into.
All right. Well, Jack, what did you pick up at the Miami bars this weekend? And
yes,
did we actually hear about it?
Well, what I picked up at the Miami bars from the people shilling their shit coins is that the shit coins are exactly that. I went to, on Thursday night, there was Shitcoin Con 2021, and I was like,
Nice.
oh, these are the living human beings that actually sit behind their computer screens and bring me all these great stock tickers that I've been putting irresponsible amounts of money into. So for me, Bitcoin, baby. Who wouldn't want to? This is like buying Christianity in the year 150. I mean, who wouldn't want a piece of Christ coin?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, the Pope was throwing Bitcoin FUD earlier, so I guess God doesn't even like BTC. So
That was good.
you want to short God by BTC.
And like fit whatever the percentage is, 73 million Americans' version of God, Donald J. Trump, I think this morning or last night came out anti-Bitcoin. So like the powerful figures keep throwing all their weight against it, which I think is great. Yeah, I don't know. My takeaway from the conference, it's just back to basics. Like I'm probably 80% of my portfolio is altcoins, and we're going to make every effort to get that down to like 50%, sub 50 in the coming days. Now that it looks like alts are recovering from like the absolute just May crash where they lost like 80-90% of value. Now everything's back to like retaining 50% of the value it had from all-time highs, whereas Bitcoin's still kind of bopping around the lows. So it seems like a good time for me. Capitalize on my enthusiasm, buy into this religion, make some sound financial rotations. Bitcoin, baby.
All right. Well, Can't argue that. I would never argue a religious conviction. Finally. Yes, I've ruined enough Easters. Never mind. Okay, look, you may like your God, but I like the devil himself. American Express, credit card companies in general are going to be doing very well. I saw a headline earlier today saying that spending is up over 25% among Gen X from pre-COVID levels, and by spending I mean credit spending. So that's not just stimmies. The stimmies are running out, and everything's starting to go on the credit cards. I don't like what that means, but you can make money if you go along for that ride, and AXP is a good spot. And they're not cheap right now. It's at historic highs, but I think it's still going up further. That's just the times we live in, boys. There's more free money. There's more craziness coming, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. So you can pretty much park your boat anywhere, and it's going to go up. Well, look, we've had a real good time today on the show. I just want to leave you guys with some wisdom out there. You should be doing your own investment advice, doing your own research. We like to help out, but of course, we are thralls to the system as much as anybody. So, a good way to bet against or hedge against any of these problems is, of course, get some silver and gold from Mindat Gold Exchange. Give Jack a call, mention Market Mania, you get special pricing on your precious metals purchase. Of course, you should follow us on all of our social media, on TikTok, Twitter, like, subscribe, share. Even if you want to tell us how much you disagree with us, all the comments, all the interactions helps us grow and try and do this as much as possible. I know we like to say we like to come every day if we can. It's not always possible. We've got lives outside of this, but I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you all coming around. So if we can tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. Power of attorney where I would turn in. Can't lie like Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine it look the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind. Was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now. How about tonight?